In my last life, my parents were in a car crash. They both slipped into a coma. And that's when my girlfriend, Dr. Evelyn Reed, produced a stack of organ donation forms outside their hospital room. Jake, their prognosis is not good. You need to prepare yourself. I know this is impossibly difficult, she'd said, her voice a careful performance of sympathy. But if you sign these, your parents can save so many lives. Think of it as a final act of grace for them. Good people get to do good things. Trust me, she'd whispered. I'm doing this for you. Overwhelmed with a grief so profound it felt like I was drowning, I let her words wash over me. At her urging, I signed the papers. The very next day, my parents were gone. It wasn't until much later, right before Evelyn had me killed, that I learned the truth. On the day of my parents' funeral, she was in an operating room, transplanting my mother's kidney into the mother of her ex-boyfriend. Reborn, I stared at the same organ donation forms in Evelyn's hands. This time, I slapped her so hard she spun to the floor. In my last life, with my parents lying unresponsive after the crash, Evelyn, their own doctor, relentlessly hammered home how dire their situation was. She chipped away at my resolve until I signed the papers. Once they're cremated, it's all gone, Jake. Can you really live with yourself, knowing other patients waiting for a transplant will die without hope? The chances of your parents recovering are practically zero. Why can't you think about the other people who have a real chance? I'm a doctor. My professional ethics compel me to think about the greater good, to be responsible for as many patients as possible. If you don't sign, aren't you being cruel to them? It's incredibly selfish, Jake. It's unethical. Staring through the glass of my parents, who were disappearing under a web of tubes and wires, my mind shattered. I let her guide my hand. I signed. The next day, their heart monitors flatlined. After they were gone, every viable organ was harvested. I was the one who took their hollowed-out remains to the funeral home. I was the one who arranged the service, alone. Evelyn never showed up. When I called her, desperate for some comfort, all I got was a blast of irritation. Jake, can you not? I'm prepping a patient for surgery. What do you want with all these calls? You're hurting. What about the patients waiting for this procedure? Huh. Do you think they're not hurting? Your calls are jeopardizing lives. Stop calling me. I'm busy. I don't have time for your drama queen routine. The dial tone that followed was like a punch to the gut. I collapsed, the pain in my chest feeling physical like my own heart was breaking. After I managed to get through the funeral and put my parents' affairs in order, I went to the hospital to find Evelyn. I found her all right. She was with another man, his arm wrapped possessively around her waist. They were standing together by the bedside of an older woman, their gestures intimate and familiar. I recognized him from a few years ago, Kevin Thorne, Evelyn's ex. Standing outside the room, I overheard the conversation that would define my hatred for the rest of my short life. Ev, thank you, Kevin was saying. My mom wouldn't have made it this long without you. Evelyn's voice was smug. A perfect kidney match like his mom's is hard to find. Lucky for us, I convinced the idiot to sign the papers. I found buyers for his parents' other organs too, she continued, her tone sickeningly casual. All told, it should clear over $1 million. Enough to buy a big house, cash when we get married. And I can finally get that new sports car I've been wanting. Kevin's voice swelled with pride. My girl is the smartest. The old woman in the bed chimed in, her voice raspy. My future daughter-in-law is a real go-getter. A blind rage took over. I stormed into the room, grabbed the nearest four-pole, and swung. But I was 1 against 2. In the struggle, Kevin landed a solid punch that sent me stumbling backward. My head cracked against the metal bed frame, and the world went black. I know what happened next because Evelyn, thinking she'd gotten away with it, couldn't resist boasting. When she knew I was exposed, she and Kevin dragged my unconscious body to the roof and threw me off. My death was immediate. My skull split open on the pavement below. To the world, she sold a tragic story. The grieving son, so distraught over the loss of his parents, had taken his own life. After I died, my spirit lingered. I watched as Evelyn and Kevin used the money from my parents' stolen organs to build a life of luxury. My family, all 3 of us, were just collateral damage. Our ghosts left to scream in silence. Then I opened my eyes, and there she was, holding out a clipboard with the organ donation forms clipped to the top. The excitement in Evelyn's eyes was barely concealed. Jake, their prognosis is not good. You need to prepare yourself. This time, I snatched the papers from her hand, ripped them into 100 tiny pieces, and sent them fluttering to the floor. Then I drove the palm of my hand across her face. You bitch, Evelyn, I snarled. Are you in that much of a hurry for my parents to die? Evelyn was completely blindsided. She stumbled back from the force of the slap and fell to the floor. I grabbed the collar of her white coat and hauled her back to her feet, my eyes locked on hers. My parents' vitals are stable. You haven't even issued a critical condition notice. Why are you talking like they're already dead? They're alive. I roared, shaking her slightly. So what the hell are these papers? Are you hoping they flatline so you can cash in on their organs? Evelyn, you're not a doctor. You're a monster. She was dazed, struggling to break my grip. Jake, are you insane? I just said their chances are slim. What did I ever say we couldn't save them? I'm a doctor, she shrieked. Do you honestly think I would trifle with a patient's life? I tightened my grip, dragging her toward the room where my parents lay unconscious. If you can save them, why are you trying to get me to donate their organs? Their condition was still fragile. Though they had no major external injuries, they remained in a coma. I couldn't trust Evelyn not to do something behind my back. I had to get them out of here. I decided to transfer them to another hospital. When Evelyn heard my plan, she lost it. Their condition is too unstable for a transfer. You're trying to kill them. What kind of a son are you? My God, are you trying to kill your own parents to get your hands on their inheritance? Jake, you make me sick. To stop me, she used her authority as the department head, ordering the admissions staff, doctors, and nurses not to process any transfer paperwork for me. The harder she fought me, the more certain I was that she was hiding something. So I pulled out my phone and dialed 911. When the police arrived, Evelyn was in the middle of directing 2 orderlies to restrain me with straps, the kind used on psychiatric patients. A few other patients and their families had gathered, trying to intervene, but Evelyn had her nurses steering them away. It's okay. Everyone, go back to your rooms. This patient is having a manic episode. We're just trying to administer treatment. The moment I saw the uniforms, I yelled for help. The orderlies faltered at the sight of the police, their grip loosening for just a second. That was all I needed. I slammed my shoulder into one of them, knocking him off balance. Still tangled in the straps, I scrambled toward the officers. They're trying to kidnap me. Officers, he's my boyfriend, Evelyn called out, rushing over. He's not mentally well. Please, help us restrain him before he hurts someone. I tore the remaining straps off me. I'm not crazy. My parents were in a car accident, and I want to transfer them to another hospital. This woman is blocking the transfer and trying to force me to sign organ donation forms. I'm the one who called you. You have to believe me. Evelyn's face was a mask of professional condescension. Jake, I am a doctor here. This is a hospital, not your living room. I decide what's best for the patients, and you, as family, need to cooperate. The lead officer gave her a sideways glance. You decide? Lady, you're not in charge of anything but your own bad attitude. He turned to me. This isn't a psychiatric hospital, and this young man seems perfectly lucid to me. Officer, please don't be fooled. He's really not well. Do you have a diagnosis? A medical chart? Any documentation whatsoever to back that up? Just then, a man stepped out of a nearby room. She's lying through her teeth, he said, pointing at Evelyn. I heard the whole thing. The kid wanted to transfer his parents, and she was the one throwing a fit and blocking him. Now she's calling her own boyfriend crazy. She's the one who needs her head examined. Others in the hallway started to speak up, confirming that Evelyn had been obstructing me. The officer looked back at Evelyn, his expression firm. Right now, the patients are the priority. Process the transfer paperwork as the family has requested. He held up the restraints the orderlies have been trying to use on me. As for the rest of this, we'll look into it later. I called for an ambulance. Paramedics from Metropolitan General arrived, did a quick assessment, and carefully moved my unconscious parents onto stretchers and into the ambulance. At Metropolitan General, it underwent a full battery of tests. In the doctor's office, he held up the lab reports. It's a standard concussion. The patients need rest. They might experience some tinnitus, nausea, and dizziness, but that's all normal. Nothing to be overly concerned about. Then why aren't they waking up? I asked, my voice tight. The blood work shows trace amounts of an anesthetic, he explained. It was likely administered a few hours ago, perhaps as a temporary measure by the first responders at the scene. It's not a dangerous amount. They should be waking up very soon. Hearing that, a weight I didn't even know I was carrying finally lifted from my shoulders. Once my parents were settled, I went to the police precinct. Evelyn had already given her statement. She claimed she was acting in my parents' best interests. She said I was panicking, unable to make rational decisions, and that her attempt to restrain me was only to prevent me from doing something reckless. As for calling me mentally ill, she said it was just an excuse to disperse the onlookers and avoid a scene. "Officer, you don't understand," she had apparently said, pointing to the red mark on her cheek. "My boyfriend has a history of manic episodes. He smashes things at home whenever he doesn't get his way. See this? This is from him just a little while ago." The officer handling my case told me that her story mostly lined up with mine from her perspective. She admitted she was preparing to have me sedated if I continued to be disruptive, framing it as a necessary medical intervention. As for my accusation of an organ trafficking scheme, they had nothing to go on. Without any concrete evidence, it was dismissed as a paranoid delusion brought on by stress. An initial inquiry found no irregularities at her hospital, so there were no grounds to open a formal investigation. The traces of anesthetic in my parents' blood were, as the doctor said, too minor to be considered proof of anything sinister. An older officer handed me a cup of water. "Look, son, it seems like your girlfriend really does care about you and your family. This whole thing has probably just messed with your head a little. Care? If I hadn't died once already, if I hadn't lived through the horror of her care, I might have believed him. But I couldn't say any of that. I had no proof. Reborn, and all I wanted was to kill her. But I had to be smarter than that." As I walked out of the precinct, Evelyn was there, waiting. She reached for my hand. "You slapped me. You screamed at me. We both talked to the police. Are we done now?" I pulled my hand away. "Evelyn, we are not done." Her brow furrowed in frustration. "Jake, are you going to drag this out? I've been incredibly patient with you today, but you're pushing it. My parents are fine, just a concussion. So why did you tell me they were dying? Why did you push those forms on me?" "Jake, I'm a doctor, not a god," she retorted, her voice rising. "I make mistakes. Misdiagnoses happen in clinical settings every single day. Are you saying I'm not allowed to make one small error?" Just looking at her face made me sick to my stomach, but I forced myself to stay calm. "This whole thing has been a huge wake-up call. Your profession doesn't make me feel safe. It makes me feel terrified. I think we need to seriously reconsider our relationship." My parents were safe now, but I had no intention of letting her get away with what she did to my family in her last life. Her move with the organ donation forms was too smooth, too practiced. This wasn't her first time. I needed proof, real evidence that would put her away for good. And then there was Kevin Thorne's mother. For him, Evelyn would never give up. I made my voice as level as possible. "Evelyn, my head is a mess right now. I just need some space." She took this as a sign of surrender. "Fine, I'll give you 2 days to cool off. But if you pull another stunt like this, don't be surprised when I actually do break up with you." I couldn't stand to be near her for another second. I flagged down a taxi. "Metropolitan General," I told the driver. As the car pulled away, I glanced back and saw, just for an instant, a flash of pure venom in Evelyn's eyes. Back at the hospital, my parents were awake. When I pushed open the door to their room, they were both propped up in bed, bickering. "I told you not to take that road," my mom was saying, "but you never listen. And look what happened. A car crash." "Nagging woman," my dad shot back. "You were chattering in my ear the whole time. It's a miracle I only hit a tree. You dare blame me? You've got some nerve." "What? You gonna hit me? Go ahead. You'll never find another man as good as me." Listening to them, I felt a wave of emotion so strong it almost brought me to my knees. Tears pricked my eyes. Seeing them here, alive and bickering, felt like a miracle. My dad noticed me standing in the doorway. "What are you doing just standing there like a statue? Your mom and I are just messing around." My mom beckoned me over. I walked to her bedside and took her hand. It wasn't cold and lifeless. It was warm. They were real. They were alive. She gently stroked my hair. My boy must have been so scared. It's okay. Mom's okay now. My dad nodded, about to say something, but his face suddenly turned green. He grabbed the trash can from beside the bed and started retching violently. Ugh, son, don't you, worry about me. Your old man is fine, see? My mom looked at him with pure disgust. If you're gonna puke, just puke. Stop trying to talk before you accidentally swallow it. That comment only made him heave more violently. They stayed in the hospital for a few more days. Evelyn never showed up. In my past life, this was when Kevin Thorne's mother took a turn for the worse. It was my mother's kidney that saved her. This time, with my parents safe, I wondered if that old woman was still hanging on. My dad finally asked, "It's been days. Why hasn't Evelyn come to visit?" I fudged the truth. She's had a patient with kidney failure who's in really bad shape. She's been swamped. That satisfied them, and they didn't ask again. I didn't want to burden them with the ugly truth. They couldn't solve it, and it would only make them worry. After a couple more days, all their tests came back normal. Once I was absolutely certain there were no lasting effects, I checked them out. Back home, I laid down the law. No running around, no arguing, just rest. They both promised to be on their best behavior. My dad even handed over all his work responsibilities to me. That's why I spent all these years building the company and hiring all these people, he said with a grand wave of his hand. It was always meant for you. The moment I had my two very obedient but not at all trustworthy parents settled at home, I filed a formal complaint against Evelyn's hospital. That got her attention. It didn't take long for her to hunt me down. "Jake, what the hell is your problem?" she demanded, cornering me on the street. "You filed a complaint against the entire hospital over one little misunderstanding." I shook my head and pulled a document from my bag. "You misunderstood. I didn't just file a complaint. I also filed a lawsuit." Evelyn stared at the legal papers, her voice turning shrill. "Medical malpractice? Willful endangerment. Jake, are you trying to ruin me?" I looked at her with mock sympathy. "You said it yourself. It was just a little thing. How could it be as serious as all that?" "Look, I'm thinking about getting a new car," I said casually. "And this whole ordeal with my parents has caused me a certain amount of emotional distress. So, I figured I'd sue for a little compensation. Besides," I added with a shrug, "I'm suing the hospital, not you. Why are you so panicked?" "Are you an idiot?" she hissed, looking like a cornered animal. "I wrote your parents' diagnostic report. I'm the head of the department. Suing the hospital is the same as suing me. The board has already given me an ultimatum. If you don't drop this lawsuit, I'm suspended and I lose my position as department head." She shoved the lawsuit back at me. "I'm giving you 2 days. Withdraw the lawsuit and retract the complaint. Tell them you were hysterical and made it all up. I'm up for a major review, and the hospital is in the middle of its accreditation process. This is the worst possible time for this kind of crap, and you need money. Your dad owns a company. Since when do you need money?" "Let me tell you something, Jake," she warned, her voice low and dangerous. "Don't think these little games are going to make me bend to your will. If you keep this up, we are done. For real." I nodded slowly. "Okay, if you have no intention of marrying me, then let's just break up. You love that guy, Kevin, right? Go marry him. I'll stick with my lawsuit. We can go our separate ways." Her face went pale. "How do you know about Kevin?" "I saw you at the hospital holding hands. The way your eyes light up when you look at him. Did you think I was blind? You cheat." Evelyn's expression turned icy. "We're just friends. His mother is sick, and I've been giving her some extra care. Don't project your disgusting thoughts onto me. There is nothing going on between us. Whatever you say, it doesn't matter to me anymore. Just stay away from me from now on." Panic flashed in her eyes. She grabbed my arm. "What do I have to do to make you believe me? There's nothing between us. You're the only one I love." She threw herself against my chest. "You're only this angry because you care about me. You're afraid of losing me, so you're playing these push and pull games, right?" "You win," she whispered, looking up at me. "I'll clear my schedule. We can go get our marriage license in a couple of days." "Okay, isn't this what you've always wanted?" "I'm saying yes." Looking down at her face, a masterclass in deception, a wave of nausea washed over me. I shoved her off me. "Well, I've always wanted." "Hell no." I turned and walked away. "Marriage license? The only license you should be getting is a death certificate." 9. The next day, I got a call from Kevin Thorne. "Mr. Miller, I think there might be a misunderstanding between us. I was hoping we could meet and talk." A misunderstanding? Not likely. The memory of his face as he pushed me off that roof in my last life was burned into my mind. Thanks for your mom's kidney, he had sneered. My mom's recovery is going great. You're lucky, you know. If you hadn't found out about our plan, Evelyn was going to use you to make another score. Don't worry. I won't forget the contribution your family made. Now I'm sending you down to join your hollowed-out parents. The ugly memories flooded back, his sadistic grin as vivid as if he were standing in front of me. I dug my nails into my arm, forcing myself back to the present. Fine. The Daily Grind Cafe. 1 hour. Let's see what kind of lies he was planning to spin. At the cafe, Kevin sat across from me, nervously turning his coffee cup in his hands. If you have something to say, say it. I'm a busy man. Mr. Miller. Jake. There's really nothing between me and Evelyn. My mom has a serious kidney condition, and Evelyn is her doctor. That's it. Nothing more. The only reason we've been spending time together is to discuss my mom's treatment. It's completely professional. And completely secret, I added dryly. He shook his head, attempting a pained smile. Absolutely not. I have no intention of disrupting your relationship. I just hope you can trust her a little more. Please believe me, the person Evelyn cares about most has always been you. I took a sip of my coffee, my eyes drifting down to his hand, then to his neck. On his finger was a Tiffany ring, a men's band from last year's collection. It was a perfect match for the one Evelyn wore. They had been sneaking around for a lot longer than I thought. And on the side of his neck, a hickey, faint but unmistakable. I doubted it came from anyone else. So sloppy. I set my cup down and nodded. It seems I've been overly suspicious. I apologize for causing you any trouble. A flicker of relief crossed his face. No, not at all. I'm just glad you and Evelyn can clear the air. I should go visit your mother, I said, standing up. After all, any friend of Evelyn's is a friend of mine. It's the least I can do. 10. In the private room at the hospital, I finally saw Kevin Thorne's mother. This was the first time I'd laid eyes on the old woman who had, in a way, sentenced my family to death. She clearly knew who I was. Her eyes were filled with undisguised hostility. It made sense. My little outburst had cost her a perfectly matched kidney. Of course she hated me. I pretended not to notice, offering a polite smile. Hello, Mrs. Thorne. I'm Jake, Evelyn's boyfriend. As I leaned over to place a fruit basket on her bedside table, I stuck the tiny listening device I'd prepared to the back of the cabinet. It was a simple bug, a remote microphone that I could call into. The battery would last for 2 weeks. More than enough time to get the evidence I needed. Kevin is a good friend of Evelyn's, which makes him my friend too. This is just a little something to wish you a speedy recovery. His mother shot me a cold glare. I appreciate the thought, though if it weren't for certain obstacles, I'm sure I'd be home by now. Oh, what do you mean? I asked, feigning confusion. Kevin shot his mother a warning look. Mom, Mr. Miller was kind enough to come and visit. What's wrong with you? He turned to me with an apologetic smile. I'm so sorry, Jake. Her illness has made her irritable lately. It's not personal. I waved it off. It's fine, I understand. Well, if you're not feeling well, you should rest. I have to get going anyway. Kevin walked me to the door, apologizing profusely. I smiled, told him it was no problem, and left. Once I reached the stairwell and saw him disappear back into the room, I pulled out my phone, dialed the number, and connected to the bug. Kevin's voice came through, sharp and angry. Mom, what was that? Your act was so obvious. What if he figured something out? I know you're upset, but if you blow up our plan with Evelyn, are you ever going to get that kidney transplant? His mother's shrill voice cut in. Humph! If it wasn't for that bastard, I might have been out of this hospital weeks ago, fully recovered. And what is that useless girlfriend of yours doing? She promised she could get a kidney, and now look. The one she had lined up is gone, and she's got nothing. My condition is only getting worse because of her. All right, calm down. The waiting list at a major hospital is too long. We'd never get to the top. Don't worry, Mom. I'll talk to Evelyn. We'll figure something out. Humph! By the time she figures something out, I'll be 6 feet under. Listening to them, I disconnected the call. 11. Evelyn did her rounds at 7:30 p.m. I called the bug a few minutes early and hit record. I heard the door to the room open, followed by Evelyn's voice. Mrs. Thorne, are you feeling any better today? Kevin's voice was tense. Evelyn, my mom can't wait much longer. I know. I'm working on it. Mrs. Thorne's voice was laced with bitterness. I should have just gotten on the official list at a bigger hospital. Kevin said you had a way, so I trusted you. And now what? The prize was right there, and you let it slip away? You've wasted so much of my time. Please, don't worry. I have a new plan. So his mother didn't die. That's fine. We still have another option. What option? Kevin asked. Jake had a physical with me a while back. I ran some extra tests, discreetly. His blood type is a match for his mother's, and his tissue profile is nearly identical. His kidney is a perfect match for you. Kevin already smoothed things over with him today. Evelyn continued. My next step is to get back together with him. Then I just need to arrange an accident, and his kidney is yours. Trust me, she said, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. As soon as he agrees not to break up with me, your kidney problem is solved. Just give me a little more time. Kevin's voice was firm. Evelyn, my mom raised me on her own. It wasn't easy. I don't care what you have to do. You have to save her. Then he added something that sent a chill down my spine. And if that doesn't work, you still have plenty of other patients here. If you find another match, you could just do what you did before. Don't worry, I heard Evelyn reply. I'm already screening them. The voices faded as they moved away, but my heart was pounding in my chest. To get a kidney, Evelyn was willing to murder an innocent person just to please her boyfriend. And from what Kevin said, he knew she had done it before. More than once. If I hadn't been reborn, if I had signed those papers, my parents would have suffered the same fate as in my last life. She would have found a way to kill them, then carve them up and sell them for parts. She wasn't just a monster. She was something far, far worse. I sent the recording from that hospital room to a dozen influential true crime bloggers and online news outlets from an anonymous email account. Within 2 days, the audio was everywhere. Corrupt doctor murders patients for organs and private hospitals' illegal organ trafficking ring were trending on every social media platform. The comment sections exploded. This is horrifying. To think this is happening right under our noses. So we're all just walking organ farms for these people. They can just decide to harvest you whenever they want. This is pure evil. To kill a healthy person for their organs. Is there any justice in the world? They need a full-scale investigation. These butchers need to be caught and locked away before they can hurt anyone else. As the story went viral, my phone blew up with calls from a frantic Evelyn. Jake, you have to believe me. That person in the recording is not me. Our voices sound similar, but I swear on my life, it's not me. It's all rumors and fake news. Jake, please don't believe it. You have to trust me. I've always loved you. I would never, ever joke about your parents' lives. That was a genuine misdiagnosis. It was a mistake any doctor could have made. How could I possibly do something so evil? I'm a doctor. My job is to save lives. I listened quietly as she spun her web of desperate lies. When she finally paused for breath, I answered calmly, Don't worry, babe. I believe you. She sounded relieved, almost giddy. Really? You don't suspect me? I clicked the send button on my computer. Of course, babe. I've always trusted you. I have to jump into a meeting. I'll talk to you later. I hung up before she could reply. On my screen, a confirmation message glowed. Message sent. Evelyn, I thought with a cold smile. This time, there's no coming back. That evening, the identities of everyone in the recording were leaked online. Not just Evelyn's name and place of work, but her entire professional history. Kevin's name was out there, too, along with his mother's complete medical records from a hospital. The story had become too big to ignore. The local police department immediately formed a special task force to investigate. Evelyn and Kevin were arrested in a hotel room, taken completely by surprise when officers broke down the door. Shortly after she was taken into custody, I paid a visit to Kevin's mother. She was a dying woman. I didn't see the point in wasting money on a gift, so I came empty-handed. Mrs. Thorne, I said cheerfully, what a beautiful day. I thought I'd come see how you are. She glared at me. Kevin's not here. I gave her my biggest, brightest smile. Oh, I know. He might be tied up for a while, so I came to see if you needed anything. Where did that boy run off to now? Oh, he and Evelyn were arrested. The police took them away. What? Her eyes widened in shock. Arrested? For what? I feigned surprise. You mean you haven't heard? Evelyn's little organ trafficking business got exposed. Kevin was taken in for questioning. It's all over the internet. You really didn't see it? Her whole body started to shake. Arrested? They were arrested. Then what about me? This can't be happening, she muttered, her voice trembling. It must be lies, trolls on the internet making things up. They wouldn't do something like that. They wouldn't. I watched her panic, then calmly reached behind her bedside table and plucked out the listening device. She stared at the tiny object pinched between my fingers. What is that? I pressed play on my phone. The entire damning conversation from that night filled the room. As her face crumpled in despair, I stood up, a slow smile spreading across my face. Mrs. Thorne, it looks like Evelyn is going down for good. What are you going to do about that kidney now? I guess you're out of luck. I leaned in close, my voice a venomous whisper in her ear. You wanted my mother's kidney, didn't you? Well, my mother is alive and well. You can't have it. And my kidney is a perfect match for you, too. But I can't give you mine either. So I guess you'll just have to lie here and watch your own body fail. Evelyn is gone. You can just lie here and wait to die, you old bitch. Oh, and by the way, your son wasn't on it. He's not getting out of this either. You won't even have anyone to plan your funeral. How sad for you. She stared at me, her face a mask of hate, and then lunged, her hands like claws. You bastard, I'll kill you. I stepped back easily. She missed, lost her balance, and tumbled from the hospital bed to the floor. Don't waste your energy, I said, looking down at her. You'll need it for the trip. And you can rest assured, Mrs. Thorne, your place on the official transplant list has also been leaked online. In the middle of this scandal, with everyone watching, do you really think this hospital would dare to give you priority, even if a kidney did become available? Don't worry, I said as I walked to the door. Your son will be praying for you from his prison cell. I left her there, a pathetic heap on the floor, her wails of agony echoing behind me. To shield them from the fallout, I had sent my parents on an overseas vacation. At that moment, they were probably sunbathing on a beach in the Maldives. Meanwhile, after days of torment and suffering, Kevin Thorne's mother finally died, her own failing kidneys giving out at last. Evelyn was gone, Kevin was gone, and she had lost all hope. She was declared critical 3 days after my visit. There was no one left to sign the notice. In a county jail, I delivered the news of his mother's death to Kevin. Such a poor old woman, I said with mock sympathy. There was no one to even arrange her funeral. They just took her to the crematorium and turned her into ash. I watched as Kevin's eyes turned red. Evelyn must be so relieved. He looked at me, confused. What do I mean? Are you really that stupid? Evelyn was just playing with you. Did you honestly think a woman like her would ever get serious with a piece of trash like you? Did you think no one knew you used to be a male escort? Or about that little stint you did in telemarketing scams? I even heard you had a couple of sugar mamas back in the day. I watched him with amusement. A guy with your resume. Evelyn was just amusing herself with a trip down memory lane. You weren't her future. You were a throwback. Let me spell it out for you. Evelyn was stringing you along. Do you know why your mother's kidney transplant never happened? Because she was never going to give her mother a new kidney. Kevin shook his head in agony. No. Evelyn said she would marry me. She wouldn't do that to me. You're lying. You have to be lying. Lying. I looked at him like he was an idiot. Look at the state you're in. What reason would I have to lie to you? Let me tell you the truth. Evelyn has already confessed to everything. She told the police you were the mastermind. She said you forced her to do it all, and that every illegal dollar she made, she spent on you. Kevin, I said, leaning in, you really are an idiot. Less than an hour after I left the jail, Kevin Thorne, feeling betrayed and desperate, gave a full confession. He detailed every crime he was aware of, providing the police with a mountain of evidence. Every single piece pointed directly at Evelyn. Faced with Kevin's extensive testimony, Evelyn's denials became a pathetic joke. She finally broke down and confessed to everything. She had used her position as department head to alter patient records, essentially signing the death warrants of people who still had a chance at survival. Once their families had lost all hope, she would use a combination of persuasion and financial incentives to get them to sign organ donation forms. Then she would sell the organs on the black market for an immense profit. In the end, Evelyn Reed was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. The next time I saw her, she was no longer in jail, but in the state penitentiary. She had attempted suicide in prison and was demanding to see me one last time. I had nothing better to do, so I went. In the visitor's room, I was met by the hollowed-out shell of the woman she used to be. Her hands were gone. Both had been amputated at the wrist, leaving 2 sterile stumps. She was so thin she looked like a skeleton that might collapse at any moment. Apparently, some of the other inmates had heard about her crimes. During a shift in the prison workshop, they had accidentally pushed her into a running industrial loom. When she saw me, she broke down, sobbing. "Jake, I'm so sorry. I know what I did was wrong. Please, can you give me another chance?" I almost laughed. "Evelyn, the rest of your life belongs to this prison. Even if I gave you another chance, what could you possibly do with it?" "Besides," I said, my voice cold, "you tried to murder my parents. Why on earth would I give you a chance? Did you give a chance to all the people you killed, directly or indirectly?" I leaned forward. "Kevin sold you out completely, and you're sitting here begging me for a useless second chance. Don't you see how pathetic that is?" Evelyn stared at me in disbelief. "Impossible. I was everything to him. Kevin would never betray me." "No betrayal? Then who do you think told the cops about all your dirty little secrets? Did you think you confessed on your own?" "Evelyn, stop being so naive. You're a grown woman. You still believe in love." I didn't say another word. I stood up and left, leaving her to cradle her head with her mangled, useless wrists. In the men's prison, I met with Kevin one last time. For his role in Evelyn's crimes, he received a sentence of 13.5 years. It was only then, seeing me again, that the truth finally dawned on him. "She never ratted me out, did she?" I smiled. "Congratulations, you finally figured it out. Back at the jail, I used your mother's death to break you down mentally. Then I used your sordid past to make you doubt Evelyn's feelings for you. And you fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. You could have gotten a lighter sentence. But in your rush to bury Evelyn, to make sure she went down, you exposed your own involvement. You had to sacrifice yourself to take her with you. You have no one to blame for this but yourself." Kevin bowed his head in defeat. "So, Evelyn, she never betrayed me. She knows you're the one who snitched on her. She knows you're the reason she lost both her hands. If she saw you right now, she would probably try to tear your throat out with her teeth." "But," I said, looking him dead in the eye, "before you exposed her, she was completely loyal to you. She was even ready to take the fall for a lot of it to protect you. Too bad you didn't trust her. In the end, you destroyed yourself just to spite her." "Kevin, I was right. You really are an idiot." I stood to leave, then paused as if remembering something. "Oh, one more thing. The funeral home called me. It seems your mother's ashes, which were being temporarily stored there, have gone missing." I looked up at the ceiling, pretending to think. By now, I'd say they've probably drifted all the way down to Blackwood Reservoir. I gave him a brilliant smile, scattering her ashes to the wind. It felt appropriate. Walking out the prison gates, I saw a missed call on my phone. I hit redial. "Dad, where are you and Mom now?" "Son, we changed our flight. We're going to Egypt to ride some camels. We won't be back for a while." I roll my eyes. "I hear the Fessick in Egypt is pretty good. Bring some back for me to try." "Is eating all you ever think about?" "Fine, I'll buy you some. You just watch the house. If you get into any trouble, I swear I'll break your legs when I get home." "Relax. What kind of trouble could I possibly get into? The worst I could do is sell the company." "You little punk, you just wait till I get home."